Now we are going to talk about creating impact through partnerships. And to begin, I would like to invite to the stage Wen-Chih O'Connell. Please join me in welcoming Wen-Chih.
Did that walk-up music for my kids. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Wen-Chih O'Connell, and I'm so grateful to Brad for offering me the opportunity to share with you a little bit about the work I do with PayPal Giving Fund Canada. If you've worked in the nonprofit or tech for good world, you know how fast the landscape is changing and how technology continues to reshape how we connect with each other and how we give back. I'm going to share the story of how one company, PayPal, deploys its technology for good in a unique way. And then we'll hear directly from a charity about how they've benefited from those efforts. And we'll have some time at the end, hopefully, to field any questions you might have. Sorry. My own journey began far from fintech, even though I was born and raised in Silicon Valley. I started out in public health, working on grassroots projects as a Peace Corps volunteer and for nonprofits. I learned about corporate social responsibility in grad school, though to Coro Strandberg's point yesterday, it wasn't taught. And I like the idea of being at the intersection between sectors, leveraging corporate and private resources to help increase the impact nonprofits have in our community, which is the work I've been blessed to do ever since. After my family moved here to Toronto, where my partner was born and raised, I was hired to launch PayPal Giving Fund Canada, a registered charity that is supported by PayPal. I'd seen how a lot of companies implement their corporate responsibility, especially through my consulting work at KPMG and at Silicon Valley Community Foundation. And though at the time I didn't fully understand what PayPal Giving Fund was, what impressed me about PayPal was how they'd integrated their social impact work into their business. Here was a company deploying its core strengths, in this case, secure digital payments, trust, and scale, and applying them to power global generosity. PayPal was bridging philanthropy and technology to make giving easier, safer, and more accessible for everyone. So how did PayPal get to that point, becoming a model for how business and social good don't need to live in separate silos? As I've heard from my PayPal colleagues, the story goes something like this. When PayPal separated from eBay in 2015, the company faced a choice: create a traditional corporate foundation or embed social impact directly into its products. It made a purposeful choice to pursue the latter, deciding to leverage PayPal's core business, payment processing, which admittedly can be quite boring, to create tools that power generosity at scale, which is actually quite exciting. That decision defined PayPal's social impact journey. Not only does PayPal build products and leverage its technology and resources to power giving through its giving business and PayPal Giving Fund, it also supports communities through corporate and employee grant-making and volunteerism and other social impact programs driven by the company. PayPal's early focus was on democratizing financial services, helping consumers and small businesses improve financial health and inclusion. But PayPal also saw how its platform could be used in times of crisis. For example, when conflict escalated in Ukraine in 2022, PayPal raised over $623 million in 8 weeks, the most of any payment provider. It enabled money transfers into and within Ukraine for the first time, which was a process that normally would take 9 months. It went live in 9 days, and mobilized millions of people and businesses worldwide to contribute. As the company has evolved, its impact became more closely aligned with its mission to revolutionize commerce globally. Today, PayPal's social impact and sustainability team focuses on expanding economic opportunity through empowering entrepreneurs, strengthening small businesses, and building the resilience of communities to ensure more people can thrive in the digital economy now and into the future. This approach reflects a philosophy I fundamentally believe in, that a company's greatest impact comes when its social values are tied to its core capabilities. That same thinking helped develop PayPal Giving Fund into what it is today. PayPal Giving Fund's roots go back to 1999, when a small social enterprise in the US called Mission Fish started powering eBay's early charity listings. It expanded to the UK a few years later and was acquired by eBay in 2011. Mission Fish rebranded as PayPal Giving Fund in 2013, and when PayPal spun off from eBay a couple years later, PayPal Giving Fund moved with it, evolving from an eBay-bound charity tool into a global engine for giving, connected to PayPal's payment infrastructure and expanding across multiple online platforms. PayPal Giving Fund grew its operations to Canada in 2018, expanded to Australia, and then a few years later to Ireland. By mid-last year, PayPal Giving Fund had raised over $3 billion to support charities globally, a number much bigger than and on top of what PayPal could give using traditional corporate responsibility and grant-making programs. Through every iteration, PayPal Giving Fund's mission has stayed the same: to enable the world's leading online platforms to create opportunities for everyday charitable giving. By embedding charitable giving into the places people already spend their time online, we make generosity effortless and secure. People often wonder, is there a difference between PayPal and PayPal Giving Fund? PayPal is a global payments platform, a technology company that allows people to send, spend, and receive money safely across the world. Charities can use PayPal's donate button on their websites and other products, where donations are processed by PayPal directly and instantly into their PayPal accounts. Confirmed registered charities pay a reduced charity rate for PayPal's payment processing. PayPal Giving Fund, on the other hand, is an independent registered charity, which is not PayPal's foundation. We use PayPal's infrastructure, but operate separately as a registered charity. When someone donates through a Giving Fund-powered program, say on Facebook, Instagram, GoFundMe, Twitch, or on the PayPal app or their fundraising website, the donation goes to PayPal Giving Fund. We issue the donor's tax receipt, ensure the charity is eligible and valid, and then we grant the funds to that charity without taking any fees ourselves. This structure makes giving on these digital platforms more secure, scalable, and ensures compliance with regulations in our respective markets. It means charities get funds they can trust, and donors know their money will be delivered to charities safely and securely. You can think of PayPal Giving Fund as a quiet force behind everyday generosity. We power charitable giving across the digital ecosystem so that donors don't have to leave the platforms they already use. Here's how it works. So a donor gives to support a charity of their choice via a giving opportunity that's integrated on a partner platform like Facebook or Instagram. PayPal Giving Fund Canada receives that donation, issues a tax receipt, and completes compliance checks. We then grant those funds directly to the benefiting charity, ensuring security and transparency. And we do all this without charging individual donors or charities fees, because PayPal Giving Fund's operations are covered by our partners. So for charities, this reduces administrative burden and eliminates many of the costs and complexities tied to receipting and fraud monitoring. For donors, it means giving feels easy and trustworthy and with just a few taps. And for our partners, it means engaging their users in giving without the hassle of managing the compliance, the validation of charities, and the payout of funds themselves. We heard from Duke, Lorna, and Mike yesterday about how much pressure charities are under to do more with less. I've also personally seen on the corporate side how much work and complexity that's required to engage stakeholders in social impact. So freeing them from these burdens lets them focus on their mission and to leverage their respective resources in even more effective ways. That's what digital transformation and giving should look like, leveraging technology so people can focus their time and talent on achieving greater impact. Here in Canada, PayPal Giving Fund crossed a milestone at the end of last year that I'm personally very proud of. We've generated over $200 million for almost 25,000 charities across the country, engaging more than 3 million unique donors. To help charities benefit even more from the tools and platforms we power with our partners, we've just launched our fundraising guide, which you can access with the QR code on the screen. This free resource explains how enrolling with PayPal Giving Fund, which is also free, unlocks extra benefits for charities. It outlines the fundraising tools available on partner programs or partner platforms like GoFundMe and Twitch, and shows charities how they and their supporters can start actively using these tools. It's a live resource that will be updated with new partner pages going forward, and we hope it will spark charities to think more about how they might supplement and strengthen their digital fundraising strategies. We also wanted to share the voices and stories from charities who've successfully expanded their reach using these tools, and I'm excited you'll be hearing directly from one of them next. When we first launched giving on Instagram in Canada, there was low awareness about this new fundraising functionality since we couldn't do any promotion of the launch. But a few charities like Plan International Canada noticed and jumped in early, making the most of the opportunity. What especially caught our eye was some of the how-to reels that they posted to show their followers how to leverage the in-app fundraising tools on Instagram, effectively activating their supporters to broaden their digital reach. We connected with Padraig and team, who shared with us about the powerful fundraising campaigns they've built that have engaged the new audiences and channeled vital funds to their crisis responses worldwide. I asked Padraig to come share in his own words about Plan's experience and what everything I've just talked about has looked like in practice for them. So with that, it's my pleasure to welcome Padraig Attlee Howard, Manager of Strategic Digital Insights and Analytics for Plan International Canada, to join me here up on stage.
Yep.
Automatic?
Testing.
Yes, great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Padraig. Why don't you please share a little bit about yourself and your work at Plan and how you got there?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Padraig Attlee Howard, and I'm the Manager of Strategic Digital Insights and Analytics at Plan International Canada. As I'm sure many people in this room have similarly complicated titles. It sort of means no one at my company knows exactly what I do, which gives me a lot of convenience. But I essentially look at kind of the various teams and departments we have. I'm very focused on the kind of data side of things and reporting side of things, and I try to break down the silos and help teams understand how they work together with one another. So that kind of relates to this. I think you gave us a little bit of credit saying that we kind of noticed these tools and started using them. I think it was more just that we looked at ways to diversify fundraising and some of the ways that kind of social was impacting other tools in terms of finance and philanthropy, which led us to then kind of reaching out to PayPal.
Awesome. So that kind of leads into my first question, which is why did Plan decide to embrace digital tools for fundraising? What inspired your team to really dive into social fundraising and experiment with these new platforms?
I think two things. I think firstly, as was said yesterday, anyone that works in charity knows the pie is getting smaller, but all charities are kind of being asked to somehow generate bigger slices. So we were just looking at ways to diversify fundraising and kind of thinking of different avenues. So like you mentioned Twitch, like you mentioned kind of other, we through PayPal partner with Humble Bundle and Beam and GoFundMe, various other kind of avenues to fundraise. The second kind of reason I think was that we knew social was a relatively untapped resource. Part of my job was to kind of temper expectations. I think social is never going to be generating, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we knew that there were engaged people on there who, if we could make it easy for them, would want to donate money to us.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. We always tell charities we can't ignore the audience that might be on these social platforms, even if you are cultivating the donors that you might have on your website. So it is common for charities to include a link to their own website donation page in their social posts to try to drive those donors to their websites. But can you tell us more about why that direct giving integration right in the social app is actually quite important?
Sure. So yeah, I'm kind of from the data side of things, as I say. So as anyone who works in sales will know, putting up different kind of steps in the conversion process simply hurts conversion. So we were basically looking at, we knew, that was kind of historically how we were doing it. We were putting links in our posts and sort of trying to garner donations through social in a kind of slightly, I guess, sort of retro way. And through that exploration, I then found that, we had these capabilities of like having a button and which got everyone, as I say, very excited in the kind of senior leadership team, and I had to temper their expectations and say, look, we're not going to suddenly be seeing huge amounts of money donated through the fundraise button. But I think it was about breaking down those again, making the barriers smaller to getting people to convert. So we kind of saw 4 different ways that through social we could be getting donations. There's kind of as I say, kind of historic fundraisers where people sign up and create fundraisers for various events, which is kind of how we launched our PayPal donate button, which was through a Mother's Day campaign. We sort of said, this is the woman that's raised you, why not help raise someone else and start a fundraiser through our social pages. Secondly, we had kind of seasonal giving. We obviously do a lot of posts around the holidays, urging people to donate to our causes. We thought, again, that whole process of having someone click a link that then takes them to the website, that then means they have to engage in that, is just creating barriers. And if you can make it easy for them to donate right there on the post, we knew we were getting engagement on the posts, that would be an easier way to do it. The third way was through emergency appeals. So at Plan, we do a lot of work with kind of children in crisis around the world, and those are obviously very urgent. Again, just that process of creating barriers. If you have to, create a web page that then you have to link to, that then you have to kind of gradually set up to get those things take time, as in charities things move slowly. So the ability to just have a very quick, if something happens, the next day we can do a post about it, we can be raising money for it instantly. And then the kind of fourth reason was just through our partnerships. So we have a number of ambassadors, and a number of them, young women around Canada and around the world, very active on things like Instagram, less active on Facebook, obviously, but that's kind of more the Mother's Day side of things. But in terms of Instagram, we wanted to kind of engage those partners that we have and get them fundraising for us directly, and helping us to fundraise. So again, the ability to just, for them, obviously, they don't want to be posting something out to their followers that then requires a link. And again, the algorithms don't like you leaving the channels. So making it easier for celebrities and people that kind of are voices for us on platforms. We wanted them to be very easy access to post something that then allows us to get donations.
Awesome. So what have the reactions of the donors been like? Has anything surprised you about their engagement and the volume of giving that you've seen?
Yeah, I think we were surprised initially at just how much was being raised. Again, we didn't expect a lot, and I think in the initial stages it was, we were seeing kind of what we expected, which was not huge amounts of giving, but I think that's partly due to just the lack of trust. I think partnering with PayPal helps with that because it allows, people know PayPal, people know the organization, even if it's PayPal Giving Fund. I think people, that lack of confidence in the donation was abated because it's PayPal. I think we've seen a huge uptick. So again, the kind of traditional fundraising has been a steady burner and is still going. We're hoping to have a very big seasonal giving this year. The biggest impact we've seen is through the emergency appeals. So we've done a number of emergency appeals this year for various countries around the world. And we've seen huge amounts being given through those, which has really surprised us, obviously pleasantly surprised. But I think it's fantastic, again, just to see that it's the nature of social media that it's very instantaneous. It's very, if you can catch someone's attention today, you might not have it tomorrow. So that kind of urgency that we've seen through the emergency appeals and the Children in Crisis Fund has been really beneficial, because it allows us to get donations kind of instantaneously, days before we even send out an email or have a web page ready to go.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that. So given the topic of this session, I would love to see more companies use their unique strengths, like PayPal has with digital payments and creating PayPal Giving Fund, to deliver even greater impact for our sector and for our communities. From your experience and perspective as a charity that partners with corporations, what advice would you give to businesses looking to support charities in a way that truly leverages what they do best?
I think don't be afraid to kind of reach out and ask for these kind of things. I think charities, like I say, charities move slowly. There's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of kind of wariness, but as I say, they're all looking to diversify funds. They're all looking to bring in money in any way they can. I think, like I say, you're far too kind to us to say that we sort of sort this out in a very active way, and we were very surprised to hear that we were ahead of the curve in anything, because charities are often very slow and very kind of, we look at trends and then go off the back of those. So I think we were surprised that, as you mentioned, the wonderful kind of how to donate videos that we created did generate a fair amount of traction for us. So I think for companies out there who have things like this, where you can reach out to charities and kind of suggest, like, hey, this is a way to make a bit more money. It doesn't have to be huge amounts of money. It's obviously something that we anticipate will get bigger and bigger, but I think just starting those conversations in the way that we did, just starting those processes, updating, and kind of moving charities gradually into that kind of new world of like different ways to fundraise. We're as I say, with the youth ambassadors, the Twitch partnership that we have with you is fantastic, because it's again something that traditionally Plan International Canada doesn't have a lot of space in the kind of streaming world. But we've got a number of youth ambassadors and celebrity ambassadors who are looking to do fundraising streams. So having PayPal Giving Fund as a kind of partner, and similarly, I'm sure other organizations in this room would be able to partner like that. Having that easy access of like when our youth ambassadors and celebrity ambassadors reach out and say, how do we fundraise through this thing? Having that easy answer of saying, oh, well, we actually already have a partner, we can make that very smooth and convenient, is great. So yeah, I think just start the conversations. All charities are, like I say, looking for bigger pieces of that pie. So if you have a way to increase their fundraising, reach out, start the conversation.
So you've talked a lot about, why charities should really try to start fundraising digitally and using these tools. What would be sort of that key advice that you would give to charities who are a bit hesitant to try it out?
I think kind of just as I say, I think it sounds easy, but like just don't be hesitant to. I think I think there's this idea in the industry that charities are slower than other companies to adopt things, whether that's AI, whether that's like different ways to fundraise, that charities kind of have to follow behind the trends. And I think actually taking those risks, especially when it doesn't have to be huge investments that you're making on these risks, but kind of putting yourself out there and just asking, sort of meeting your potential donors where they might be, right? I think in the same way we're talking about social, we knew we had lots of engagement on social, but for many years didn't really consider them to be potential donors until there was an easy way to go, oh, actually, we can just put a donate button here, we can make it much easier for them. We knew that people clicking through to the website from social then weren't necessarily converting, so having that easy access. I think as a charity, just meet your donors where they might be, less than where they are, and see if you can generate funds that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Padraig. I mean,
Thank you.
Seriously, everything that you talk about, that you shared with us about how Plan International Canada is using these tools really inspires me and my team to just keep going. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Want to open it up for questions, if there are any.
Yeah, we have a few. Thank you so much, Padraig and Wen-Chih. This question is probably more for Wen-Chih, and PayPal had done a very interesting job of leveraging its core competencies, which has been a growing theme of this conference over the past few years. What advice would you give to the social impact and social purpose professionals in the room that are looking to try and get their companies to leverage their core competencies? How can they take that first step?
Yeah, I think, just thinking about what you do best, and whether, that's technology or logistics or communications or what have you, and really just figuring out how you can use those capabilities to remove barriers for charities and other equity-seeking groups, and just trying to brainstorm and be creative and think outside the box. PayPal used its strengths in payments to simplify giving globally, but others can really do the same. It's really around turning what you do best into tools that will unlock that impact at a greater scale.
Okay. What are some strategic ways to encourage and motivate younger generations to donate through social media? It's probably for both of us. I think
I was just going to say it's kind of what Padraig was saying earlier is meeting them where they are. They're spending a lot of time on these social platforms already, and so if we can put that giving opportunity in front of them and really share the impact. We did come out with a report recently, it was a year ago, about Gen Z and millennial giving and what motivates them. And one of the top things is really communicating impact. So making sure that your organization is really talking about, here's the impact of what this donation is going to have on the cause that we're working on. And then again, as you're communicating that, which I'm sure a lot of charities are already communicating that on social, to add that donate button and allow those people who are reading that post to just support you right away, right in app. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's about finding the side of your, like the bit of your story that connects to that generation. I think for a lot of charities, again, their work is kind of seen as being done for an older demographic, but I think we have a younger generation now that's, arguably one of the most kind of like politically engaged. They're so aware of like climate, they're so aware of the struggle for democracy, and I think if you can meet them there and make whatever your charity does, whatever your organization does, if you can make those angles appeal to young people, then they absolutely will get involved. I think similarly, like what we do obviously at Plan International is very based on kind of gender equality. That is a massive topic for young people all over the world at the moment, and so we, for instance, through our Twitch streaming and things like that, and through our fundraising in other ways that we kind of target towards younger generations, we find ways to tell those stories in a way that kind of makes it applicable to what those young people are going through. A lot of the work we do doesn't necessarily apply to younger people, but we find ways to make the work we do appeal to that generation.
Great. Well, Padraig and Wen-Chih, thank you so much for leading us into the break. Really appreciate your time. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we head into break, you'll notice that you all have a copy of the Walrus magazine at your tables. The Walrus is one of our new conference partners. We're thrilled to have you on board. Please enjoy your free copy. The content is always incredibly enlightening. So we're heading into break now, our first break of the morning. There is, as you can imagine, lots of food on the other side of the doors. We will see you back here at 10:50 sharp, 10:50 sharp. We will get started.